And welcome everyone. I guess I'm here, I'm Fiona Horne. I'm here to talk about my new book and probably a bit about the old one. I guess to start, the question I get asked the most, and always, and I've answered this question so many times, but I'll answer it again because I don't know how many of you are here as newbies perhaps and haven't ever read a book about witchcraft and just are curious. The question I get asked all the time is, how did I become a witch? Like, when did I first sort of realise that witchcraft was something that I felt drawn to? And it happened probably in my late teens, and I think I always had an interest though in alternative spirituality, but I was brought up in a fairly strict Catholic household, so it was kind of suppressed, and I was forced to conform to very rigid ideas of what an individual's spirituality could be. And when I sort of reached my late teens and sort of got into the rebellious phase, I started looking for alternatives, and at the time I was very environmentally active, politically active, like joining logging campaigns and going up and camping around trees and not letting people cut them down, and I was vegan and a member of many of the different environmental groups. And to me, the reason I was getting into that was because nature was sacred. That was just common sense to me. It was just sacred, and it was my role as a part of nature to help preserve and protect it. And from that, in a spiritual sense, I was drawn towards paganism, which is pretty much at the core of all branches, all paths of witchcraft. Paganism means, in a nutshell, that you just find nature sacred. And from there, you know, learning more about paganism, reading about it, I stumbled across witchcraft. Now, of course, at first, my ideas about witchcraft were satanic, like, you know, the classic misconception that witches, or being a witch is the opposite of being Christian, and so you worship Satan. And there's a part in my first book where I sort of say when I was 12 years old, I was lighting black candles and repeating the Lord's Prayer backwards and doing everything I could to get over the fact that I just hated school, hated the nuns, hated the priest, hated everyone, and and that was how I expressed that. And it didn't do anything. No demons popped out, nothing happened at all, except that I had a bit of fun actually, but just because I was 12, I didn't really know much better than that. But of course, when I actually came across witchcraft again a bit later on, I found out that there was actually a reasonably well-documented spiritual path about, and at its core was worshipping nature. That in addition to that, you also recognise that there were not only gods, but goddesses, and that there wasn't only priests, but high priestesses, and that everyone could be a high priest or high priestess with, you know, appropriate sort of time spent on it and study and personal dedication to the whole thing. So that was the beginning of my journey, I guess, and I was probably properly about 18 that I really got into reading a lot of books, really thinking about it. And like most people, started off as a book witch, didn't know anyone else that was into it. If I mentioned it to anyone, they would go, "Oh, you believe in Satan?" And I was like, no,